So before the break, we were talking to Elaine in California, and she made some good points on, that there's a lot of work to undo a lot of the religious indoctrination that has gone on, and how people are just totally attached to seeing it one way. They won't look at it from any different perspective than what their religion has conditioned them to believe. And it has nothing to do with pursuing truth in their mind. All it has to do with is, this is what my religion says. This is telling me don't look into this other alternative information because it conflicts with my religion. They can't see that that's a control system for the mind. It's a control system for consciousness. And they won't look at anything from an alternative point of view. When in fact, if they just looked at the details in some of these stories in the Sumerian and Akkadian and Assyrian cultures, you would see this story that is told in the Old Testament richly spring to life in a detailed form. And then you would understand what's being told in the Old Testament, and is unfortunately lacking the detail in the biblical texts, whereas the detail is filled in some of these other texts, and then the biblical texts make perfect historical sense in light of those other texts. But because they're told anything that's not canon scripture, it doesn't have the King James stamp of approval on it, there can't be any truth in that. And it's just, it's a child's mindset. It's such a shame how religion has where religion has people's minds. It's just truly unbelievable. And, it keeps going back to that. The theme of this show and my work keeps going back to breaking down the religions. Whether you believe in the cultural religions, meaning the so-called world religions of Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, etc., okay? Or you believe in science as a religion, that no truth can... If the established scientific community doesn't say it works this way, then there's no truth in it. That's it. Okay? That's called scientism, science as a religion. Government as a religion, the belief in authority is a religion. The New Age movement, as I've talked about endlessly, is a religion. I call it the religion of standing down and not taking any action. We're going to change reality on thought and emotion alone. No action is going to be required, though. You're not going to actually have to do anything. No courage is going to be involved. You're never going to have to... Nothing will ever be confrontational. We'll meditate the world into a state of bliss, permanent bliss, don't you know? Okay? It's all complete childlike mentality. And all it is believing my religion is right. But nobody ever wants to look at truth. When it all comes down to, and then of course we have the big religion, let's not leave that one out, money. The ultimate religion, you could call it. The ultimate God of this world. That's the most deeply entrenched religion. Out of all the others, the other ones have no hold on the human mind like that one does. That's the strongest one of all. So all those religions have to go. You want to be free? Every religion I just mentioned there has to go, plus every other one. Every religion you can name needs to go. And the things that act as a religion, meaning hold us back from truth. That which holds us back from truth. So all cultural religion, all government, all notions of authority, all scientism. Real science I don't have a problem with, but I'm talking about scientism, and the New Age religion. You can just group that in with all the other religions. That's the catch-all. In case you don't fit into any of the other cultural religious mind control, we'll wrap you up in that trap real good. And then money. Until those religions are destroyed, humanity will never be free. Get over it, ladies and gentlemen. That's true. That's the truth. Till those religions are abandoned, you're going to be in a state of chains, in a state of bondage, period. And until people understand that natural law is the solution, that natural law is the answer, okay? That it's about what we need to stop doing that is causing harm to other beings. When we stop causing that harm, we will be free. That's how the law of morality, that's how the law of freedom works. As morality increases and we stop doing harm to other beings, we become freer. As morality decreases and we continue to do harm to other beings, you're going to be more and more enslaved. If you don't want to recognize that and understand that that's eternal truth because it is the law of creation, nothing will change here. When people get that through their thick skulls, then you'll start seeing some change occur in the world. And it's not that way because I say it's that way. Once again, it has nothing to do with me. I'm nobody. I'm one person who has happened to discover that this is what is true. I'm not the first. I won't be the last. I have no magical powers that allow me to make that discovery. You know, I'm not special, more special than anybody else because I've come to that understanding of truth. Okay, it's not my belief system. And people have a hard time with that. They don't want to understand this isn't about a belief. It's not about a belief or a religion. It's about coming into harmony, bringing your own perceptions and consciousness into harmony with that which is. And that's all it's about. So, you know, I'm not saying that what I just laid out there is true because I said it. It's true eternally because it's what is. I happen to discover that that's how it is. And again, I'm not special because I've discovered that. Many other people have in the past, and millions of others after me will also do the same. Okay? So, I mean, religion, the whole point comes back to that religion is such a powerful force at work in the world, holding us back from where we say we want to go. And everybody has one, it seems, or most people do. So there are some people who are out all the way from religion, from the mind control of religion. But not many. Most people in one form or another still have deep attachment to religion. And that's why they're in mental bondage, and that's why they're creating the conditions through their mental bondage that create physical bondage in the world. And until they stop thinking like that, don't expect the physical bondage to go away or to magically transmute itself or change, because it doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. So,
Mark,
sure. Go ahead, Elaine. Well, I don't think it's necessary for that suffering to happen, but I think unfortunately we are choosing it. We don't love ourselves enough to want not to choose that suffering, if you can follow that line of logic. In order not to choose suffering and to choose the way that doesn't involve all that suffering, you really have to care about yourself. You have to love yourself and say, I'm worth more than this. I don't have to go through all that suffering. I'm better than that. I can learn what's true and then align my behavior to it. And then I won't have to go through all that suffering. But no, not humanity, because we hate ourselves at our core. We are self-loathing people at our core. And until that illness is healed, expect more of the same. We have to become into true self-love. You can't really love anybody else unless you truly love yourself. And if you want more suffering for yourself, of course you're not going to care about what other people are in suffering. You're not going to give a damn about that. You know, you don't care whether you're in suffering, let alone other people. I mean, why would we expect anything to be different in this world instead of it being full of suffering and slavery? You know, because we don't even care enough about ourselves not to want to go down that painful path. You know, so Elaine, great points that you've brought up here. Definitely give people something to really think about deeply. So thank you so much for the call.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. So he didn't even really get what you said. Oh, okay, yeah. He looked like
a lot of people do that, Justin. I noticed that a lot of people really don't listen to what's being said and go back over it again and hear the words I'm speaking. They hear what they want to hear in the words, and they don't really hear what I'm saying. You know, and that's why it's important to do things like this, to clarify things. And that's why this is great, because people can ask questions and get clarification on points like that so that they understand the material a little bit better. You also have to understand, when I'm giving a live presentation like that, I'm very regimented as far as time goes. We only have the room for a certain amount of time. You know, there may be other speakers on the agenda, etc. So you really have to keep to a time frame, and often that, you know, makes you have to rush in your presentation style. So, you know, if there's all day seminars where it's just me, I can kind of take my time and unfurl things kind of slowly. But in an event like that, it definitely was, I was very much restricted 2 hours, and it had to be done in a 2-hour time frame, and that's all I had. So, you know, just try doing a topic that big in 2 hours, or even approaching it in a way that makes sense. You know, it's a very challenging thing. I think I did a fairly decent job for the amount of time I had. But again, you kind of have to talk fast. I did make even a couple of mistakes in there with some names that I, should have probably even noted in the notes to make corrections. But I think people will get the general, gist and do the research on their own and, find the consistencies in it and find where there was a couple of errors in there as well. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes when I give presentations too. But I try to do my best when I'm up there in the time that I'm allotted. But this is a great point to make that, this is why I like to do shows like this from time to time, where I give people the opportunity to ask questions and get clarification on topics such as this. So I'll let you continue.
Yeah, no, actually, I've been watching videos and stuff like this for years. In my opinion, that was the best of all the ones I've watched. That's kind of why I was like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, but definitely not a place to start. If I had to tell people to look into some of my material, I certainly wouldn't tell them to start there. As I always say, go back to my podcast and listen forward from number 1 forward, because that's where you're going to get the full tapestry of the information, and it's going to be, basically rolled out over a slow, stepwise progression, and the tapestry will eventually come into place as you listen to more and more in order at your own pace. That's the best way anybody can approach my material. Much better than watching my YouTube presentations or just hearing YouTube videos here and there out of order,
sure.
Disjointed. So that's my best recommendation to people who are new to my material.
Of course, I'm probably I think the podcast 66 or whatever, 65 or something
Cool.
like that. But yeah, I'm doing it myself.
Great.
Well, yeah, like I just to wrap up or whatever. But yeah, just to show the mentality of this guy too. It's the fact that he's more concerned about debunking one little thing than the implications of if it is true. Like I said to him, I was like, let's just say you're right. Let's say he's wrong about this thing,
right.
but I'm also right about the whole thing, or you're right about the whole concept.
Right.
And he literally said, he's just like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
And it's just like, how could you care about that?
It doesn't matter that he's a slave in a world of slavery. It's all about proving one point of some other guy who's trying to end slavery wrong. Yeah. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense, man. I mean, does that make any sense as to why we're still in slavery? Because I think it makes perfect sense about why we're still in slavery, if you ask me. But, hey, I could be the weird one, man. Maybe what we should be doing to get out of slavery is just bicker over little details amongst each other, over minutia amongst each other, constantly attack each other on things that, are small details in the big, huge picture, but not get the picture, but just fight over the details. Let's pick out this corner of this little piece of the jigsaw puzzle in the corner of the puzzle. Forget the 10,000 other parts. We're going to argue over this one out of the 10,000 parts. The 9,999 other parts don't matter. We don't care about what the whole picture looks like. I'm going to fight over this one piece and, forget about trying to actually put the whole picture together and recognize that what it's telling you is that you're enslaved and that you need to take action to not be enslaved anymore. No, we're not going to worry about that. Let's go and attack some of the other slaves. What great use of energy that is, I'll tell you. Makes a whole lot of sense to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just the weird one.
People pass tests in school. You don't have to get 100 to pass. If you get 95, you still pass, and you did well. But for some reason, in this case, it doesn't count. I don't know. So,
of course. See, what it all is, Justin, is it all comes back to that religion thing. This is a person who would probably tell you he doesn't have a religion. He might be an atheist or whatever, regardless. Right. But the whole point is,
solid science, bro.
He has a religion. He is attached to not wanting to look at this as a possibility because of the implications of what it has, the implications that it spells out for our society and us, our species as a whole. And that is a religion. Staying attached to something and not wanting to look at it, even if it is true. That's religious thought. Any way you want to paint it, that's the same way an extremist religionist thinks. The same exact method of thought. I'm going to look at it this way. Anything that conflicts with how my current worldview is will be blotted out. And that's exactly how that person is thinking. It's religion. It's religion. And I would say it right to his face. It's religious thinking. You know? And it's not saying that complimentarily. You know? That's saying that's what's holding us back from where we say we want to go as a species. That's how I mean the word religion there. So, Justin, great points, man. And again, this gives people a lot to chew on, a lot to think about regarding where other people's mindset is at and what our work is to do to change it.